Hi, this is Leili with In Vivo Leadership Strategies, and this is Integrity Over Scale podcast. Welcome to In Vivo Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Leili Sadaghiani, and I am here with Jacob. Jacob, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so thankful to have you here. We met through Moonshot and you actually got third place, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And I loved what you were doing with your company and with your business. And so I was really excited to say, hey, just come on the podcast. Let's talk about what you're doing and get some good lessons from you. So I would love to, first of all, get to know who you are. So tell me a little bit about yourself outside of the business.
Sure. So my name is Jacob, 18, and I'm currently enrolled as a student at Embry-Riddle. So that's why I was in the Prescott area. I'm studying aerospace engineering, and I am minoring in mechanical engineering propulsion and software systems engineering. And so beyond like business side, I want to go into aerospace and working on rocket engines probably initially, and then own my own aerospace company and build space tech.
That's amazing. And I was sharing with you that as a professor, meeting someone like yourself is a breath of fresh air, especially in today's world, because I feel like students aren't as serious as you are. So it was wonderful to have you and to watch you just thrive, especially at being 18 years of age. I want to talk to you about your company, EX3D, and love to learn more about what you're doing and why you created the business.
Sure. So the original idea came a few years ago, actually, in probably my junior year of high school when I was running an Etsy store with my cousin. And it was a huge learning curve. Like we just made some designs that we thought were cool and uploaded it. And for like 2 months, got no sales. And I'm like, okay, so what can I do about this? So I look it up on YouTube and like, hey, what can I do? And I just get like dumped with a huge load of information and need to find like the niche that you want to work in. You need to find designs that people will purchase, run ads, create like higher quality listings, just all of this stuff that I wasn't expecting originally going into it. And so I'm like, well, there has to be a better way to do this, which is where the idea for EX came from. So originally it was from like the maker point of view, and how can we make it as simple as possible for someone to just sign up and start making money with having a 3D printer. So from that, we came up with EX. And so I started this in around October of last year. And it was, so how can we make it as simple as possible for makers? Well, all they should have to do is sign up and print, which means the company needs to take care of everything else. And so how do we do that? Well, we can bring on designers who can upload their own designs, and then we sell them through the site and give them a percentage of the purchase of the payment as well. And so they don't have to worry about finding designs or getting listings or anything like that. And we can also take care of finding the customers, so doing all the advertisements, reaching out to people, getting customers to the site to actually purchase. So all they have to do is accept the order, print it, and ship it. And so it decreases the complexity a lot for them. But then to bring on designers and consumers, we also have to solve problems for them. So for designers, again, we take care of all the advertising and all of the printing. So if they want to sell a physical version of their design, they don't have to do any of that. All they have to do is upload the design and they make money from it. And then with consumers, because we have a lot of makers spread out across the United States, we can send it to somebody who's local, who's closer to the person who placed the order. So it decreases like shipping time and cost when it's shipped, or when it's printed and shipped more locally, which also solves problems for consumers, especially with Etsy, because I've had some times where like I've ordered a gift for my mom for Christmas with this sort of thing as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So you are a middleman between the 3D printer and then the customers. What has that been like for you in terms of like creating this company and formulating all of these ideas?
So we originally a team of 5 people started it, working in like September, October, we started it. And so we already had like the idea for makers and designers kind of pinned down, but for consumers, we were all over the place. And like, what do we actually want to sell? How do we want to bring people to the site? We went through like 4 or 5 business model ideas. We met with SB SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Council, which is a local like business and small business helping group in the Prescott area, and met with them and they're like, hey, how can we do this? And they recommended something. And so we tried that for a little while. And so it was a lot of back and forth of like how exactly we wanted to do that side of it and what we wanted to sell. I just think it was one of the harder parts of getting it started because we didn't have a clear idea of that. But kind of in creating it, we wrote out everything for makers, designers, the plan for consumers at the time, like how we wanted to address each of those problems, what we wanted the website to do. And while some of us have some experience coding, not enough to be able to develop a full website and build all the features that we really wanted to. So we found called Base 44. So it's an AI website maker, but you also have control of the code. So we can go in and make manual changes too. Done that a good bit. But so we use that to help us develop the website and to make the marketplace and the designer and maker dashboard so that they can see everything they need to. And it was a lot of going through and connecting APIs, which are like keys you can put in, which connects you to another site that does something for you. So we have that for our shipping labels. So all they have to do is when they're done printing, they hit the done printing button and it creates a shipping label for them so they can print it out. And so it's been a lot of that kind of development of improving the site and getting everything connected and combined that we need to be able to offer the service.
What I love about your journey is how something along the lines of, well, all of us didn't know how to code. And so you went and you found something to help you with coding, with AI work and all of these pieces. The other area, and these are two questions and why I'm bringing what you've talked about in there, is you are also in a small city and it's very difficult to navigate in a small city. So I'll go to the AI question that I have first. How were you able to work through not knowing coding with some of you and then bring this AI and not be threatened by it or feel like it's a lot for you guys to take on?
So I think it really simplified the process because we could just be like, hey, we want this changed and tell it to make the change. And especially now, I mean, then was a little more difficult to get it to work correctly the whole time, but it was able to make those changes pretty easily. And so I think it has definitely increased the amount that we were able to do and to develop with the website. It's going to made it so much easier to be able to develop the website and add all the features that we wanted to and all of that stuff. And so I think it wasn't really a like scary thing using it. It was really just a time multiplier of we can develop it so much faster than we would have been able to previously.
That's awesome. And I love that you said it's something that saves time, because I know a lot of business owners that want to accelerate and want to scale their business, but knowing that AI exists, they sometimes are really afraid to take that step thinking, well, it's AI. I probably don't know how to use it. I would have to research a lot. For those listeners, do you have any word of advice of not worrying about that and just tackling it on?
I think a lot of things, if you're not on like the very cutting edge of using AI, are made really simple. Like I've been using Claude a lot to do some coding stuff on the side as well, and that has been really useful. And it's just a lot lower of a learning curve than I think most people expect, especially if it's already stuff that has been developed into a product that other companies are selling that's AI powered that you can use to accelerate your own business. And so I think it is, if you're not on like the cutting edge of using OpenClaw and developing your own agents and whatever, it is a lot easier to pick up. And if you just get started and start learning with it, I think it's a lot easier than most people think.
That's amazing. And then my second question falls into, well, what I hear the most excuse of is we're in a small city. People don't understand what we're doing. How have you navigated doing this amazing like 3D printing business in a small town?
Yeah, so that was part of the thing we talked with SBDC about, because originally we launched on campus at Embry-Riddle, and part of the thought behind that is, well, it's a huge engineering university, so there's a lot of engineering capstones that need stuff 3D printed, so we can market to them or to people who need stuff printed for classes, because we also have a feature where you can just upload your own design and we can print it for you. So we got a few makers on campus and launched on campus, but the university made it really hard for us to actually do anything on it because we are a for-profit entity and we weren't giving them a cut of the profits. They made it really challenging for us to do anything. Like we tried to have a table set up in front of the student union so we could talk to people about what we're doing, and they didn't allow us to do that. And so it was a whole lot of issues with that. And so we decided to expand off campus and see what we could do in the Prescott area. And talking with SBDC, they recommended going to local businesses and selling chopskis, which are like the gift little branded things that companies give away when they're at different events and stuff. And so we went around and walked around downtown and talked to some companies and like, hey, we could do this. And there's already a toy store in Prescott. So like, hey, we could sell stuff to you, but they already had 3D printed items. And so that was kind of difficult for us to break into as well. And just the unit economics of 3D printing versus injection molding. 3D printing, especially with current filament costs without making our own filament, it is a lot cheaper to mass manufacture injection molded stuff than it is to 3D print stuff. So we couldn't get the price of our stuff down to stuff where companies would be willing to pay, where they could buy 10 of our stuff versus like 1,000 injection molded things. And so that was another of the avenues that we looked into, worked on for a few weeks, and then decided to pivot away from because we didn't see as big of an opportunity as we would have liked. And so since I believe late January, early February, we've been shipping all around the United States actually. So kind of a way to get around the small town is to move out of the small town. And so we've sold across 10 states, I think so far, and we have makers across 12 states. And so we kind of just starting to expand out of that and to just widen the scope. And well, we don't have to sell just in Arizona if we can start building the network up around the United States, and we can just sell around the entire United States.
Amazing. And how are you able to market this while sitting in a small town and then going out to all these different states?
So it's a lot of social media marketing. We have Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, Pinterest, just like all the big ones pretty much. And because 3D printing does really well in short form content. So 3D printed time lapses of items, assembly of items, just showcasing the final product does really well. So we've done a lot of that sort of thing, a lot of reels or YouTube shorts, and to just showcase the products and to get it out to people. And we've been running ads on Instagram through Meta, so Instagram and Facebook, running the ads of, again, the short videos of the products being created and the final products and photos and all that sort of thing as well. So it's been a large just social media outreach.
That's amazing. And I'm really glad that you have that experience. The other piece that you mentioned that I think is really important for listeners, especially if they want to open their own business, is that entrepreneur spirit where it's more trial and error. So that takes me into asking you what's been the most challenging experience that you've had so far.
Honestly, I think a better question would be what hasn't been challenging. The whole thing has been a roller coaster. Definitely trial and error. Just try this. Oh, that doesn't work. So we have to do something else. That doesn't work. Let's try it. So it's been this whole trying and failing and just figuring out what works through trial and error. I think probably what I spoke about before, just figuring out the direction we wanted to go with consumers has been the most challenging. So just because we already had makers and designers pretty much nailed down. Makers, all we want to do is have them accept the order, print it, and ship it. Designers, they can upload their stuff to the site for free and make money off of it. But what exactly are we going to sell to consumers? I mean, we were pretty much stuck from like September through end of January, just kind of trying all these different things, seeing, oh, this one didn't work quite as well as we wanted to, we should try this instead, and just kind of pivoting between a whole bunch of stuff, selling on campus, selling just around Prescott, selling to businesses around Prescott, expanding to the whole United States. So it's been just that whole thing I think has been trial and error process, and probably the most difficult is actually picking the direction we want to go with and sticking with that direction and seeing it through.
Amazing. And you mentioned SBDC because I think a lot of listeners won't know what that is. Can you explain what SBDC is?
So that's the Small Business Development Community, I think. Mm-hmm. And so they're a regional group in the Prescott area. They're around, I think, all of Arizona, but specifically the group we worked with was in Prescott because that's where we were. But they basically just help with small businesses and help them grow and network them with other people. They're actually how we got into Moonshot, is Marie reached out to us and was like, hey, this is a great opportunity. I think you guys would do really well here. You should come and do it. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so I showed up and ended up winning third place. And so they just are able to connect you with a lot of opportunities like that too, which has been really helpful.
And that's been really influential, especially, I mean, for my business, I also use SBDC and they've been great. So would you recommend if there's like a nonprofit for an entrepreneur that they can tap into to use services like this?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been a big help, and just having someone even just to meet with them and bounce ideas off of too, because they have 20, 30, 40 more years of experience than I do. So having that wealth of experience to be able to tap into too has definitely been helpful. So I think if there is, even if it's a small 2-person team, nonprofit group in your area that you can connect with and they can help you out, I think it would definitely be a big help to a lot of people out there.
I totally agree. So we covered the challenges being the trial and error. I also want to tap into your mindset going through something like that. If you fail, if something doesn't go right, how have you been able to navigate that with your own mindset when you hit those failures?
It has been really hard. I mean, we started off, like I said, with a team of 5 people, and now I'm the only one working on the project. Due to other projects, people getting busy, like I said, we were stuck for like 5 months and figuring out direction we wanted to go. So I think that has something to do with it. So that has definitely been hard, and just navigating the whole thing. We had a few news sites write about us, and there was another company somewhat similar to ours, but a little different, called 3D Hubs, that started in 2010 and scaled to 20 million and then sold to Proto Labs, but they ended up switching their method from being the distributed network that we're kind of planning to just buying industrial printers and making stuff themselves. And so that was a big point that some of those news sites brought up. And one of their last lines was basically something along the lines of EX 3D wall, it may do well in the short term. We don't see it growing to any significant size. And this is a guy who's been writing on 3D printing news for like 14 years or something. And so just seeing that is definitely a little disheartening, that someone who has this huge breadth of experience in the industry doesn't see something like this succeeding.
Yeah.
But I think you kind of just have to put that to the side and believe that what you're doing will work, and be okay with the fact that it might not. Like, yes, it could fail, but it's not going to kill me. The worst that happens is maybe I lose some money on it, but then I gain a whole lot of experience in starting this company, and I can use it to start the next one that will then hopefully go better. And so it's just kind of accepting the fact that you might fail and just putting in the work anyway, and focusing on how you think it will succeed and how you want it to succeed.
That's a beautiful way of thinking about it, Jacob. I will tell you, even from my end, I have the hardest time with it. And for you to share, first of all, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing someone wrote something like that about you. And I've seen and I've had the pleasure of hearing you speak about your product. I think that there's 100% a future for it. Some of the times when I hear more experienced leaders write something like that, I think there are times where they're stuck in the past and they're not seeing what the future can hold. And the capability does AI, to your point, when you started coding and doing all of these pieces, has brought into the business world, it's just changed everything. So thank you for being honest. And let's get out of the challenging pieces a little bit, even though they're good lessons, and talk about the rewarding pieces. What's been rewarding for you?
So I think someone was a little unexpected, but the community that has already, even at such a small scale, been started to be built up around EX. So the avenue that we're going down right now is selling 3D model rocket kits, because I love space. And so these were designs by a guy who I had found years before this, and I had printed some of his stuff and I really liked it. So I reached out and was like, hey, could we license your stuff and sell them? And he's like, sure. And so we've been talking quite a bit. He lives in France, actually, which is really cool. He's a really nice guy. But being able to talk to people that I normally wouldn't have on the designer side for this has been really cool. And on the consumer side too, just the other day, we had someone reach out who purchased probably $200 worth of the kits and was just like ecstatic with how great they were. And he said he'd been building plastic kits for 65 years, and these were the best ones he's come across, and how much he loved them. And he said that he noticed we didn't have instructions that came with them. And he was like, well, hey, I can make the instructions for you if you want. And so just kind of that excitement about what we're doing. And he was saying how much he loved the network idea for the makers, that it can be made locally, and how I thought that was really cool. And so just seeing that even from the consumer side, like the complete stranger coming in and being like, this is really cool, I love what you're doing, has been really cool. And then on the maker side, which is why we started this, want to make them side income. One of them reached out and was like, hey, I'm basically trying to become self-employed. I run my own Etsy store as well. This is the best site I've found who's trying to do this. And this is really cool what you're doing. And I have a 2-year-old son who I'm trying to basically show that you can make your own way in the world and you don't have to work for other people. And he's trying to become self-employed. And the fact that we get to help him with that is just really cool. And so just seeing how we are already impacting people and starting to build this community, even as we're just getting started, has been, I think, the most rewarding part.
I totally agree with that. That's amazing. I want to do a before and after your business. So before you had your business, what was your definition of leadership?
I think, I don't know if I have a clear definition of it, but I can definitely talk to at least my leadership style and kind of how I led. At the beginning of the first year of university back in August, I started a club that's developing rocket engine, or joined a club, started a project in the club that's developing a rocket engine. And so that grew to a team of like 10 people. And I was leading that team as well. And it was very much moving quickly and getting things done quickly, but still with quality. And this is for each of the meetings before them, I would basically write out what I wanted every single person to be doing, the exact thing, the exact stuff I wanted them to get done in that meeting. And it was kind of very much showing, I guess, a bit of control freak side of me, which I didn't know I had. And through the past few months, I've learned that it actually helps being able to give them more ownership over the project. And so I've been trying to step back and being like, hey, this is in general what needs to be done. Go and figure it out on your own. And I think that has helped reinvigorate people into the project. And the same thing with EX is kind of giving people more ownership for the people who were working on it with me before and trying to lead more that way and take my foot off the gas a little bit. And I think it's also different from leading it now because I'm not leading for other people in it, but I'm still the head of the company. I'm still leading like makers and designers and everyone. And so that has been a completely different side of it too. And I think that is just trying to communicate as much as possible and to explain what's going on and kind of all of that and just trying to be as helpful as possible, I think, and coming into the leadership role with more of a focus on servitude. Like, I'm not here to lead you, I'm here to be helpful, and this company is made to be helpful for you, so what can it do to be more helpful, kind of thing.
So there was more of the tendency of maybe micromanaging situations to more leading. There are two leadership styles that I hear in how you're leading today. One is the authentic leadership, and then the other one is servant leadership. If you were to pinpoint one that is your main one at this moment, which one would it be?
At this moment, I think for EX, it would be servant leadership, just trying to communicate as much as possible and be as helpful as possible to build this into a company that they want to see and that they want to be a part of or make stuff for in, say, 10 years.
That makes sense because you are sitting in the middle of two different audiences. And so you do have to do some sort of servant leadership. And with servant leadership, it's not always the right call in every company. So it's great that you figured it out where you're sitting, that this is going to work for you. And based on the context, based on the situations that you have, that's pretty fascinating. I would have never thought 3D printing, you would do servant leadership until today. So well done in figuring that out. The part that I want to talk to you about is how you brought more ownership. So what was the value that you saw when you switched to that?
I think it just made people care more about the project, especially seeing with kind of taking that step back and being like, hey, you can do more of it now. You can figure more of it out on your own. It seemed to make people care more about the project because now they had that ownership in it. They can point to it directly and be like, yes, I did that. I figured that out. And instead of just like, I completed these 3 things. And so it just made people feel more a part of it, I think, and more like they were directly contributing to its success.
And from a leadership piece, when you're seeing the empowerment, when you're seeing people own more, what does that do for you?
I think it makes me feel like a better leader because that's what I want, is for people to care about what they're doing and to have enjoyment in it. And so being able to see that they now are, I think, has been exciting.
That's amazing. So if you could be a mentor to someone who's starting a business, what would you advise them?
So, I mean, I'm just getting started too, so I'm still figuring stuff out as I go along. I really have no idea what I'm doing. But if I could, first, I'd say don't start a company because you want to make money. I'm sure that can be a motivator, but don't start it just because of that. Start it because you like what you're doing, you like entrepreneurship, you want to solve this problem for people, and find a pain point, either you experience or people you know experience, and figure out if you're the best person to create a solution for that pain point. And if you are, then create a solution for it. And if it's a good enough solution, then the economy will reward you and you'll be able to build a good business around it. Elon Musk, say what you will about him, has a great quote, I think, with this, where basically companies are just a group of people coming together to solve problems. And I think that is really what they should be about and how they should be formatted. So start from there. Don't start with, oh, this is a really cool idea for a business. Start with, this is a big problem for people. How can I fix that? And kind of going at it from that angle. Another piece too that I just forgot. So I'll see if I remember it in the next few minutes.
Sure, definitely. Well, if it comes up, just interrupt me and let me know. I wanted to also ask you, little about what is happening for you in the near future and what are you seeing for yourself in the long term?
So near future, I think just continuing to work on EX and try to grow it as much as possible. We are still demand constrained right now, so been putting a lot of time into that, creating better ads, doing more outreach, all that sort of stuff. So I think just kind of that head down grinding, just putting as much time in as possible. And long term, I don't think I want this to be my forever company, because I do want to start an aerospace company and work on space technologies, because I think that space truly is the final frontier. And if we want to survive for a very long time as a species, as a civilization, that we have to expand into space. And so kind of working on that is what I ultimately want to do with my life. So probably selling EX and using the money that I make from that to help start that business.
Thank you, Jacob. I really want to make sure my listeners know where to find you if they want to get involved with your company. Can you have a rundown of Instagram, Facebook, website, all of that?
So for me personally, probably the best place to find me would be on LinkedIn. I have an Instagram, but I'm not really on it. So just Jacob Labagh on LinkedIn, I would come up. And for EX, it's EX 3D prints on pretty much everything. Again, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of those sorts of things. And then the website is just ex3dprints.com. And so you can look through it, and yeah.
That's great. And for the listeners, if they heard the last name and went, what? It's Labagh, right, Jacob?
Yep.
So that they
Yeah.
can find you. That's amazing. I want to thank you for joining us in the podcast. I am so impressed by who you are. And I really think I'm really happy we met now, because when you are famous and big, at least I can say I knew him and I did his first or second podcast. So I'm really, really grateful that you came on board, Jacob. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks, everybody. Live your life in vivo. Talk soon.